Howdy, howdy.
Hey
Hey,
guys, what's up?
How are y'all doing today?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Can we
It
stop
is,
saying it now? Do we get it's the ninth. Do we get to stop saying Happy New Year?
I think by
Yes.
the 10th, you're clear. That should be etiquette. You shouldn't have to say it past January 10th, right?
I think you're right. Somebody that should be written somewhere. Amy, you went to finishing school. Um, when is that? They didn't teach us that at military school. The only thing they taught me at military school is how to tie a tie and polish brass. It's a running joke in the family with Dreama. She's like, I spent all that money to send you to military school, and that's all you learned. No, that and how to go AWOL.
How to escape.
Yeah, and I didn't even do that right. But
Oh,
that's a story for another. That's a story for another day. Anyway, it is cold. That is the word of the day. Cold.
yes.
Snowing, cold. Yes.
I was complaining about that in our last video, but you guys like literally have snow in Texas.
Yeah, we're supposed to get 5-6 inches of snow over the next 36 hours or so.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts. And then it's supposed to snow at the beach here. So
What?
dogs and cats. Yeah. Yeah, dude. I've said it before. If temperature drops below 50, in my county, it's like a state of emergency. Nobody knows what to do. I guarantee if I went to the store right now, you couldn't buy a roll of duct tape or sterno, a can of sterno, Vienna sausage spam, because everybody from up north who moves here, they're like, what? I had no idea it could get that cold here. What do you? What? Snow? What? Are you nuts? And then on the local weather, they're like, all your plants are going to die. Your yards are going to look like shit. Get ready for the worst of the worst. I mean, and it's full on panic. It's pandemonium. Everybody's losing their minds.
I mean, what does happen? Because palm trees, you got a lot of palm trees there, right? They're pretty sensitive to cold.
They can be. The palms, the established stuff does pretty good, but if you've
Yeah.
got more of all right, this is going to go in a weird place. I didn't expect today's video to go, but why not? Let's do it. So I've got more of a container garden, on my. You guys see my patio, how it is. So I've got those giant planters,
Yeah, it's not
and
in-ground stuff.
right, and
Right.
they've got like you said, Jared. They've got tropical, subtropical looking stuff in them. For a few days at a time, most of it does well, but right now there's some stuff out there covered up,
Okay.
just to keep it from getting too nipped. But yeah, we might lose some stuff this year. This doesn't happen often. Like in the last 10 years, I think I snowed once that I recall, and even then, it's just in the shady spots that there's no real accumulation, but it's enough
Yeah.
since we don't have sand trucks and nobody here knows what a snow tire is, anything like that. It's more so, hey, don't leave your house, don't travel. I mean, you'd swear it was the end of the world. If anybody from up north, if they come here, it's laughable. Like my family, if they visit from West Virginia and they see something like this, they're like, oh, are you kidding me? This, they wouldn't even let kids out of, they make kids go to school on days that shut the state down.
Well, today's a school day for my kids.
What are they doing? I know they're loving that. They were waiting on it.
They were. I went down to check just before we got on the call, and they were actually out playing in the snow. They were
Oh, rock on.
trying to make snowballs with what's on the ground already, and more making ice chunks and hurling ice at each other.
Sure. wrap a rock with a little snow and throw it at
Yeah.
each other.
There might be some injuries that I'm not yet aware of. We'll find out.
Awesome.
So if we hear crying in the background, it's probably an ice injury.
Yeah, or somebody slipped and fell. Yeah. We'll see.
Awesome.
Yeah,
But yeah, we're looking forward to that. Just full on Armageddon from a little bit of snow, no accumulation. But the cold, dude, the cold is so bad. And it's funny, I was talking to Tom about it, and I told you guys earlier, I got the text from him that he knows how bad it will be, how bad I will be if there's a little snow and it gets too much colder. And he's reveling in it, the Schadenfreude. You're getting snow. Fuck you. He's just loving the fact that I'm going to be miserable. And I'm cold, man. I can't get enough clothes on. It's tough. It's tough.
Oh, man.
You guys are going to hear me complain about that for a little bit, but let's let's not do that. Let's jump into some Paragon stuff. So over the brief little break that we got, I spent a little time on the forums. I got to catch up on some emails and some just private messages and stuff on different forums. And we're still getting this for the few of you who watch these, and thanks to all the new people who are actually following on YouTube. You've heard us talk about this before. The common question, the number one question we get on our socials and just on forums and such would be, why don't you guys ship to? And then you could just insert your country after that. And some people take it really personally. It's like, you guys would sure be in business longer if you ship to Europe. I mean, they go for the jugular sometimes. We do not set the territories. As I've said a gazillion times, I would carpet the planet with our product if it were up to me. I would, but of all the companies with whom we're licensed, whether it be Universal or Warner Brothers or Toho or Disney and so forth, when you get an agreement to do what we do, they assign you territories, and this is where you can and you cannot sell. And there's no gray there. There's no light under the door. It simply is and isn't. There is what you cannot do, and it's as simple as that. We try to get as much as we can. Even with Universal, we were US only forever, and we fought to get Japan added. We didn't get any more of Asia added. We just got Japan. And that's what they would give us. And Amy will tell you, I tried. And the email I got back was along the lines of, hey, don't push it. It was pretty much like, take what we gave you. And that's the way it is. We would love for it to be different, but it simply can't be. And as we've said before, I get it, a little redundant for some of you guys, but in the new year, maybe we'll just refer people back to this video if it comes up in conversation or on socials. But sometimes we might be in a position where technically within our contract, the scope of our deal, we could ship it to you, but we can't for what the item is. And something like that might be an example of the Hero Blade Runner blaster. If you're in Australia, I can't send you one because, sorry, you guys got rules in place that prevent that sort of thing. And then sometimes we'll get the inevitable reply to that would be, oh, I don't care. I'll take my chances. Go ahead and send me one. And no, because if you spend $1,000 on a super cool prop and then you don't get it, you're going to want your money back, and we won't have the prop. Or so it's just common sense stuff. Put yourselves in our position. If you did what we do, you're not going to take we get it. You want to take the chance, but we can't take the chance, and we can't possibly stay on top of every law in every country. So a lot of the times our categories save us from having to worry about that. But with regards to some things where there's a little discretion, if we feel as though customs is going to take it, or it's otherwise going to be a problem, we've just learned that through past experience, we just politely decline and take a pass. But I promise, if you guys look around on the forums and do a little homework or ask a friend, I mean, it's easy to get creative if you really got something. But then the risk is on you.
Ways to do it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the risk is on you at that point. So it's those are hurdles. You got to sometimes clear on your own there. But the short answer is, on 99% of what we do, we would love to ship it anywhere and everywhere, and we just can't. But do know that we try awful hard. When we don't just take the initial no. There's always a but, but what if, but couldn't we? We really try. But note, the studios set the territories, and if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. If you could have your Paragon Effects group in the U.S. doing this whatchamacallit, and then you've got a counterpart of us in Europe doing the exact same thing, and they're in Europe, you get to sell that license multiple times, and you get the percentages, the profit from multiple runs, even if they are the same item. So who are we to begrudge them that? But that's why it happens. So I won't belabor the point, but yeah, we would do it if we could, but we can't, so we don't. And most of our licenses are, U.S. Uh, and that's pretty much it. And then the distributors normally, whether it be Sideshow, Big Bad, whomever, they also stick to those restrictions, if you will. If some of them color outside of the lines, it's unbeknownst to us. So
yeah, those distributors they will respect the territory restrictions.
Yeah, because if we get finger wagged, they get finger wagged, and then that's it. But yeah, I know it sounds a little like a negative. It's really not that. It's just what it's a common question, and it makes people mad. People get mad when you don't take their money. That's what surprises me. I would get it if somebody, oh, shame you don't ship overseas. I just presume they get it when I see a comment like that. But they get a little more pointed sometimes, like, like we just don't want them to have it or something. So,
we want you to have it. We want to sell it to you. We do. We just
promise.
Can't.
Yeah. Well, I'd carpet the with a Paragon logo if I could do it. But that's that. So let's talk about upcoming stuff. All kinds of cool things going on. I know we keep dangling the carrot and teasing, but it is coming. There's lots of travel ahead. Lots of getting into studio archives and referencing original pieces that nobody's ever done. And this is from Toho through Disney that we'll be doing projects like this. And we'll elaborate more on them as they come up. You guys will see some information very soon about the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea Nemo spear gun. You'll see that talked about soon. A sell sheet will be going up, and we'll bring you up to speed on all the details at that time. But it'll be done like we do stuff. When we engineer things, if it can be over-engineered, we'll do it while not altering, not changing the DNA of the prop. But we're excited about that. There's a couple other pieces from that property that we'll also be talking about. And over with Toho, so much. Jared, you want to talk about any of that? I mean, we've shared some teasers of the Oxygen Destroyer. A lot of people are excited about that thing. The reason we haven't shown more of it, we actually have videos in the can of it. But my reason, yours might be a little different, Jared, but my reason for not just showing this thing off, we're so proud of it as it sets. But we appreciate the audience for it. We understand this is one of those pieces people have wanted for so long that there's truly a dialed in audience for it. They're not just taking our word for it. This is how it's supposed to be. They know what the prop looks like and everything it should be. And with that, we want to be respectful to that, not just hold out a prototype. And because even if we put a prototype up, as we've done, and we've gotten feedback on that, well, you should change this or you should change that. It doesn't matter if we write prototype shown subject to change. People still have a very strong opinion up front. So we want to make sure that is as dialed in as it can be before we get a little further along with it. I mean, I would say, wouldn't you say, Jerry, we've got all of our measurements probably within 1/8 of an inch on.
Yeah, and I think the only thing that's holding us back from really unleashing that piece is we want to get over to Japan and actually see one of the real ones in hand, take some final measurements, take a lot more photos, reference images, scans even, and just compare it to what we have. And if there's 5% left that needs to be corrected, I think it's worth to go in and correct that 5%, and then we've got the ultimate O2 destroyer. So that's kind of where we're at.
That's really a good point too, because we could have put that. So just so everybody knows, it's not like we blindly guessed to get where we are. Our category managers been to Japan. They sent us back photos of the screen use piece. We've had our own reference. We've had additional studio reference of the. There's actually a couple screen used Oxygen Destroyers. A lot of people don't know that. And then there's also a touring piece that is a replica that has been documented countless times as having been original or screen used, and that's just not the case. It's just people don't know. So there's 3 oxygen destroyers that often get labeled Toho or Studio Piece, and a lot of times there's just nobody really says, hey, this is the replica, and then what we refer to in house is the A and B, and on those props, there's the prop what we believe that you see in the film where you see the center sphere open. And we've talked about that, where they probably literally just put fishing twine or something on the end and pulled this thing open from the ears.
Even been a guy just pulling it open.
Yes, yes, and you even see it when it opens. It's staggering as it opens.
Yeah, the camera's so tight on it, you don't see the edges of it. So it could just be a guy going, now.
Well, a lot of people. For those of you who don't know, I mean, again, the people who are dialed in on this piece get it. You see the end of the oxygen destroyer. It's got these little call them copper-esque looking ears, knobs that hang out the side, and then sometimes they're pushed in flush. That's actually what pulls the sphere open and closed. It's not a mechanical prop. It was done, like Jared said, off screen. There were probably 2 guys under there literally pulling it open. Whether they were doing it with their fingers or fishing twine or what, we'll never know. But and then the other prop would be the fixed, what appears to be a fixed closed position. So the DNA exhibit that was going on.
That one's just smooth on the top and bottom cap. There's no openings. There's no knobs. Right. But that one is also screen used because Sarazawa's holding that while he's in the dive suit walking towards Godzilla.
Yes. So we've got all the visual reference on those, and we can certainly scale it down off of the voltmeter, the old Marine voltmeter, the panel meter that's on the corner of the prop. So we're there size-wise, but it's an example of just OCD. We could have put the O2 destroyer into. It could be in production now. It could be finished practically by now. We could have done it 3 months ago, and have been 95% there, dialed in. But nobody's ever done a licensed one before. We don't want to start that kind of thing where close is good enough. Let's just keep being obsessive and, losing money due to our own, OCD. Let's just drag a project out as long as we possibly can in the name of making it right. And that's really what's happened here. The only thing that's held us up is we should have been in Tokyo last month at Toho Studios. And we were trying to cross-coordinate on yet another project with another studio that we thought we were going to get in at. And then, so we just got held up. So when we get over there, we'll document it for you guys, and we'll tighten up the measurements and make sure there's nothing hiding from us on that particular prop. And then our factory is already ready to go on it. So that's a good long-winded update on the oxygen destroyer, but it's also a good example of what we do on our props. It's the same case on. Well, I won't get too far into that one yet. I was going to talk about the 20K spear gun, but we've got some video and more news we'll share on that when we wrap up a couple details there. But it's another classic example. The prototype is done. The initial full round of engineering is done. We know exactly how the prop's going to be made, everything that's going to go into it. We just want to hands-on reference a couple set screws. That's it. Where some screws are and a couple of the little details. And that's another classic. That prop could have gone into development, production, a month and a half ago. It's just we're waiting on our window to reference an original, maybe a couple. We'll see, and we'll proceed from there. So that's kind of what's on the agenda this year. A lot of travel, a lot of hyperfixating on details, and just really getting dialed in on some of these pieces because, again, close enough just somehow never feels good enough. So when we've got the cooperation of a studio and an archives team and that sort of thing, it just makes the piece all the more special. And after all, that's the difference between what we do and a toy. Because now you see companies doing super high-end toys that are close. We've complained about that before, where some companies who are just doing toys, they'll call it a scaled replica. Sometimes they'll just call a thin piece of plastic a movie prop replica, that sort of thing. And if you're not really familiar with the piece, kind of like our bat radio that we did. We've used that as an example before. We've got the $249. Yeah, the $249 bat radio that we fussed and fixated over, detail wise, what we wanted it to be. And then, another company comes along and releases a $25. They're calling theirs a movie prop replica, but it's not scale. It's not 1:1. It's undersized. It's hollow plastic. It's a nice cosplay piece. We've always said there's markets for that kind of stuff. Sell it clean. Sell it for what it is. Sure, it's a replica. Is it a full size replica? No. Is it hollow plastic and kind of cheapy, and that's why it's 25 or $30? Yes. And then you get something like ours in your hand that's got metal on it. It's solid resin. It talks. It lights up. It does all this stuff. It's two words: price appropriate. That's the difference. It's price appropriate. So with everything we do, we don't really do the tchotchke stuff, the cheaper, we're not doing shot glasses and that sort of thing. We're doing movie prop replicas. We're doing high end movie memorabilia and pop culture memorabilia. So we want to put as much into that as we can. And we want you guys to know that when we release something that we've sweated and fretted it and fussed over it as much as somebody reasonably can. So you guys got anything to add to that?
I don't know if we could.
Because I feel like I just talked myself to death. I'm done. You guys got to.
If we could do some cool shot glasses.
You guys talk amongst yourselves. Go ahead.
I'll do some cool shot glasses if they're cool enough.
You know what? No sooner than that came out of my mouth, I was like, I don't want to bag on shot glasses, but you know what I mean? It's clear what we do. Yes. We try to do some things that have a bit of a wow factor to them, the kind of thing that you would see at the Academy or the Smithsonian or something that's got a little pop to it.
Yeah, I've learned to never say like, "Oh, we'll never do something like that," because I've said that before. Yeah, we'll never do that figure. We'll never do that. That's too hard. That's too complicated.
Oh no!
And we'll do it.
Well, I'm thinking about some of the stuff we've got coming out, so I'm real careful. No, I don't want to belittle anything. I'm just drawing a line between us and what other people do. I mean, if people want to do all action figures or half-scaled stuff or whatever, that's on them. I don't like it when the studios allow multiple licensees to use buzzwords like prop replica, movie prop replica. It's overused, and the reason is because it's got a little zing to it. It adds a little sizzle to the steak, a little seasoning. And
I think that's a licensor that's underinformed or is intentionally underinformed by that partner. That this is we can totally call it this, and they go, really? Oh, okay, but it's really not.
Yeah, and then it just sets up unfair comparisons. It would be like, what's something that drives me nuts right now? You guys see it on Instagram. You see them all over the place. They're on eBay. The bootleg cryo cans.
Oh,
so it's a wonderful example because there's videos, and the videos show a metal, a real, not
ours, and then taking a video of how ours works, and then all of a sudden, this is
so
$30, even though
right when they buy the $30 piece of shit, and then they get it in, and they're like, oh, it's plastic, it's painted gray, or some of them are silver, and it doesn't say Barbasol on it, it says Barbasoy. And it's, of course, you couldn't buy the metal for $35. You couldn't buy a square block of metal to make the thing. It's nonsensical. It's definitely apples and oranges, but it does confuse a new collector. A wide-eyed new collector comes along. Hey, I always say it, a new Jurassic Park fan is born every day, and they take to the internet, they find a cryo can, $35, or this one's $399. Maybe they don't know anything about licensing, but licensing doesn't run licensing is expensive. Make no mistake about it. There's a reason why nobody's licensed a cryo can in 38 years or whatever it's been. It's because it's expensive and it's hard. It's hard to manage a complex run like that and make sure those things don't hang up and that they live for a long time in your collection. So of course, when somebody sees the popularity of something like that out there, it's easy. Factories in Asia, they've got our engineering, and next thing you know, you see some 3D prints, or you see some crappy pulls, and away it goes. So be an educated consumer. If you see that sort of thing, share it with your friends, share it on the forums. And hey, if you want a $30 cryo can, they're out there. But when you get it, that's the equivalent of what you would expect to get in a box of cereal. Yeah, it's pretty bad. But and then we come along and we're trying to make the thing that we want you to see, the thing you saw at Planet Hollywood. We want you to see the thing you saw on display at the studio. We we want it to be so close it's indistinguishable from an original. There have been hobby runs of cryos done over the years, some more accurate than others. But when you're dealing with CNC machined aluminum, even those are going to be a few $100. And then you take something like we've done, which is mastered off a screen use piece. It had the full cooperation of Barbasol, allowing us to go completely retro on the label. A period correct label, even made from a company that made the cans, makes real shaving cream cans. It is as close as you can get. So you've got, and one of the reasons why cryocan replicas were so hard to get licensed is because you had that dual licensing. It wasn't enough for Universal and Amblin to say yes. You had to get Barbasol involved. So when we brought that together, yeah, that can be a little expensive licensing wise. And then you tackle overseas manufacturing. Even the tubes, that's another good example. Just the little bioplast microcentrifuge tubes. Those things are friggin' expensive. So when we land something like that, a run for $399, that's about as good as it's going to get. We didn't make a ton of cash off those. I think people would be shocked how much we actually spent on metalwork and packaging on that. And as a new company, of course, you could argue, hey, they're out to make a name for themselves. They don't want to leave anything sloppy or do anything half-assed, all of which is true. But back to the front end of the conversation, we're just obsessive compulsive. I always think about this thing kind of like you're saying, Jared. I look at it like just like that. Is there a guy on Etsy who's doing a better version than that cheapy one? And then how do we separate ourselves from that? Because that's while that's not the average collector, I want to catch the hardcore guy. I want to catch the ardent fan who I don't want to think somebody can outdo what we've done in mass, at least. Somebody can always. It's kind of like the MV goggles. Somebody can always make a pair of MV goggles with motorized lenses and using the original equipment and everything else. But sure, they're going to be $1,500-$1,600 a pair, and then they're never going to be able to make 500 pair of them. That sort of thing. So when we tackle something like that, and try to get that right balance of that secret sauce. What's affordable? How much? How deep did we go on our asset? Is it a scan of an original? Yes. Did we pull it straight out of the archive? Yes. What are the materials we're going to use? What are the primary features? How many lights we're going to stick on it? That sort of thing. And then again, price appropriate. What do we land it at? What do we set the edition size at? So I think we work pretty hard on that and tend to thread the needle pretty good, most of the time. So yeah, that was my long-winded tangent about just things being price appropriate and some of the things we struggle again with some of the other companies, or when a studio triple licenses, quadruple licenses something and just allows everybody to call it the same thing without really elaborating. Yeah, it sucks. Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this up. So happy New Year. Hope everybody's good. Hit us if you have any questions. If you want to be on one of these, be sure and contact Amy. And we'd love to have you on. We like having guests. So let's do more of that this year. And be on the lookout for some soon to come updates on the Electrosphere, the 20,000 Leagues goodies. So more of that coming soon.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And
Right,
if you guys are in Florida, come see us at MegaCon. We are at booth 3105. So as soon as the floor plan comes out, we'll be posting that on our socials so you guys will know where to find us. But
Cool.
booth 3105.
We just learned that too, right? That they just sent us that number
like a day and a half ago.
Yeah, 3105. I got to write that down.
Is it a good spot? Is it? or is that something we can talk
The
about?
floor plan still isn't posted yet, so I don't know where we are, but we will have a floor plan very, very soon. So
Yeah, make sure we didn't get parked right on top of School of Rock or something. So. All right, let's see you guys later next time.
Okay.
All right, bye.